Are we expecting a détente? Are we expecting a pullback from the brink? Because Friday, it felt very much alive and well when it comes to anxiety.
Well, I think what we're seeing is that this type of volatility is just the cost of doing business with a totalitarian state. And as long as it involves China, volatility and uncertainty in the market is really going to be a fact rather than a problem. And so I'd say there's two really important things here for business leaders to understand as we watch these negotiations continue. First is that every time that there's a 90-day extension here, it's not really a pause. We're just entering another inning of negotiations. And so this type of posturing is going to continue to happen. And markets need to bake that in. So it's like, make a note for February, because if we get to November and then we get another extension, then this is all going to happen again. So it's piece number one. Second, and even more importantly, is even when we have an agreement, we are doing business with a totalitarian state in the Chinese Communist Party. So we still can't relax, because they aren't in the business of honoring agreements up until the point that it becomes inconvenient for them. And so real stability here in the long term isn't going to happen until not just when there's another agreement, but real stability is going to come from when there's total American dominance in the next generation of industry, so China becomes a non-issue.
Well, let's talk about rare earths, for example. We had the CTO of Palantir, Michelle, on the show on Friday, and really Sham Sankar was saying he thinks the leverage is being exerted by China right here, right now, because of the independence starting to be shown with MP materials and the state being built there. The idea that the US has got the memo that they need to be more dependent on themselves for rare earths. Is that the reality here, and how quickly can that unfold?
Yeah, I think all of this is going to be a tit for tat and a grinding incremental struggle until the United States pulls away. And you know, you mentioned Palantir. I know you were also talking to Palmer Luckey at Anduril last week. When you think about total American dominance in the next generation of industries, that's going to come from the private sector. And so what we're watching on a day-by-day basis is the governments go back and forth. And our government in the United States plays a really important role when it comes to defense, export controls, leveling the playing field like with tariffs. But when it comes to offense, that is going to be a private sector role. We have to build new technologies. We have to manufacture them here at home. We have to create new categories. We have to regain control over materials, over all of our supply chains. And we have to move really fast. And so you mentioned the investment at JP Morgan now, pumping billions or $1.5 trillion into really important national security industries. You talked about Palantir, Anduril. I was in Austin last week with the team at Saronic doing really amazing things with the next generation of autonomous vessels, building them here at home with speed and scale. That is what victory looks like.
The JP Morgan event and, well, signaling, it's $500 billion more than perhaps would have been anticipated, $1.5 trillion. What really can they do in terms of funneling, channeling money to these sorts of key industries? Because many would say, look, this is just the right sort of lip service you need to pay to the current administration.
Well, I think when they're pumping capital into really important businesses and industries, what they're allowing them to do is go faster. And I think that's been the name of the game here. China has a competitive edge because they can move fast since they're a very top-down totalitarian state. Here in the United States, speed has to be our next weapon. And so pumping capital into these really important industries is just going to enable us to move faster, to build, to rebuild, and to dominate these important sectors in order for us to lead the 21st century.